right. We are live. Wait about a minute or two to see where everyone is coming in from. Got some very exciting news in regards to the tax sale overages industry. So stay tuned for that. If you're just joining us, let us know where you're from. All right, we'll give it about one more minute, see where. Guess it is a Thursday night, so everyone's probably watching TV right now. Watching Netflix. That's all right. Getting off work. Hello. What's up from Florida? What's up from California? Ecuador. Awesome. What time is it? ¿Qué hora es en Ecuador? Buenas noches. Eugene, Oregon. Awesome. Massachusetts. Very good. Awesome. All right. All right, we'll give about 20 more seconds and then we'll start. Let me know, guys, if you can see my screen. I'm going to share a little email. Should be able to see that okay. All right. So, guys, what we're going to talk about today is there was a decision that was made at the United States Supreme Court today in regards to Tyler versus Hennepin County, Minnesota. Okay. I won't bore you with all the details, but long story short, this is an email from the CEO of Pacific Legal Foundation. Pacific Legal Foundation is the company that represented the homeowner in this Supreme Court case. If you're not familiar with the case, basically what happened is Miss Tyler, she was I think she's 94-year-old currently. Of course, she could be older now. Anyway, she had a condo in Hennepin County, Minnesota. She owed about $15,000 in property taxes. The county sold that property for $40,000, thus leaving a substantial surplus. But the county got to keep it because Minnesota has been one of those states where if you lose a property to tax sale, the county gets to keep the overage. After today, May 25th, 2023, that is no longer going to be the case. It has been found that the Supreme Court found that basically it is a violation of the Constitution to take more than what is owed from an individual. Okay. And I'll share another, you can also just, if you want, you can read the entire decision here. Okay. It's about 20 pages long, so it's a little bit of a read, but nothing crazy. It is actually kind of interesting. It actually goes into the kind of the history of how they, came to their decision. And there's actually, this issue has been going on since, the 1700s, since the founding of our country. It's actually a very interesting read. But long story short, the Supreme Court decided that it was a violation of the Constitution and of Miss Tyler's rights to keep the surplus that was generated from her property. And, it basically is an excessive, it's excessive for them to keep more than what's owed. There's actually a very good quote here by one of the justices. Let me see if I can find it and I'll highlight it for you guys. I like this right here. So the taxpayer must render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, but no more. And I think that's a great way to summarize what happened today. is that, basically the counties can no longer keep surplus funds that are generated from tax sales. Now, what does this mean for the tax sale overage industry? What does this mean for our purposes? It means that it means the industry is going to expand, and there's going to be new opportunities available in states where before there were no opportunities. Okay. Because of the changes that are going to occur as a result of this case, as well as the changes that already are occurring. So this is the other thing that is very interesting about this case, is it's kind of spurred many states to be proactive and to change their laws. So in the beginning of this year, Minnesota already began changing their rules and changing their laws around tax sales. Obviously, the state of Michigan was also a state where you could not recover tax sale overages. They've changed their laws. Other places that have changed their rules and laws would be New Jersey, New York, Montana, the Dakotas, and there's some other ones that are slipping my mind right now. If you're a member of my course, I've actually highlighted some of these changes in the 50-state guide. So if you haven't looked at that 50-state guide, I'd recommend that you do that. And you can track some of the laws that are changing right now, and you can keep an eye out on those states and those areas where there are going to be opportunities to recover tax sale overages. Okay. So that's why this affects us, is, it's going to, expand the opportunities that will exist for the recovery of tax sale overages. And it means also that, these homeowners that do end up losing a property to tax sale, they're not going to walk away with nothing, assuming if their property does generate an overage. Now, of course, it's always best if you can avoid tax sale altogether, because there's no guarantee that a property is going to generate an overage for a homeowner, but it's always a good thing for the homeowner when there is an overage. Give them some extra money to restart. So, yeah, very wanted to share that with you, because that's an important part of our business. This business is constantly changing, guys. That's one thing that I've learned, since I got started in this in 2015, when I was still working at the prison, is there will always be change, in an industry, whether the laws change, whether even rules at county levels change. I've seen that in my career where, something that works one day may not work another day. There is constant change in this industry. And so it's very important to keep up to date with the laws, be proactive, monitor what's going on. It's good to be aware of not only what you're experiencing, but what are other people experiencing? What are other, maybe monitoring certain court cases where, if you've got some competitors that maybe they got a claim that you didn't get, sometimes it's good to monitor those cases and see what's working for some people and what's not working for others. Okay. And change your processes, change your procedures accordingly. Okay. Try to stay ahead of the game. And when you're on top of things and you're aware, what you also will find is opportunities to gain a competitive advantage. Okay. I'll give you one quick example of that. When I first started doing mortgage overages, what I found is that my competition, they were waiting until the money got into the court system before they started contacting people. And so what I started doing is I started, attending the auctions in person so that I could basically get ahead of my competition and know about the surplus before they did and go out and contact people. Okay. It's just one example. So it's important to, try to find those areas where you can gain a competitive advantage. Okay. So that's it for today. Question here. How will this play out with using attorneys? Great question. I would still very much strongly encourage that you utilize an attorney when recovering surplus funds. Okay. I am a huge proponent of attorneys. Okay. In my experience, attorneys are an investment in your overage business. They are not an expense. Okay. How are they an investment? If you're in surplus funds, you do not want to be spending your time filling out paperwork and filing claims for your clients. Okay. That is not the highest use of your time. The highest use of your time, the most valuable thing you can do in your surplus funds business is connecting with potential clients, having conversations with people, reaching out, planting seeds, sending letters, making calls, texts, whatever it is, to generate more business for yourself. Once you've gotten an agreement with someone, it's time for you to step away and hand that off to someone else. And who do you hand that off to? You hand it off to your attorney. Okay. I'll be honest. I use attorneys everywhere except for one or two specific counties or states. And the only reason I don't use attorneys in those states is because they have a step-by-step process on their websites that tell you how to file the claim, and they even give you the paperwork to do it. So yeah, as far as attorneys, I don't think it will change anything for our purposes. You'll still want to utilize attorneys. So hopefully that answers that question. And hopefully that makes sense as well. Okay. Now I'll probably let me answer a follow-up question that some of you are probably having. And that is, well, aren't attorneys expensive? They can be, but just understand that many attorneys also work on contingency, meaning they can get paid when you get paid. Okay. So if you have the concern of, well, I don't have money for attorneys, therefore this business isn't good for me, understand that you don't need to have upfront funds for attorneys. You can work out an agreement where they take out their hourly rate, or they charge you a flat rate, or they charge you a percentage, and they take it once the surplus is recovered. Okay. So keep that in mind as well. Here's another question. So for states like Georgia that are pretty hostile for overage businesses, how will this affect their policies? I don't think this will affect anything really, specifically Georgia. So they mention hostile to overage business. What they mean is if you go to Georgia, if you go to, say, I don't know, Cobb County's website or Gwinnett County's website, they straight up say that they will not work with third parties. Okay. They will not issue a check to a third party for the recovery of surplus funds. Doesn't matter if you have a power of attorney, doesn't matter if you have an assignment, they just won't do it in Georgia. That's how they are. Now, how do you overcome that? You utilize an attorney. Okay. You use an attorney to file the claim on behalf of your claimant. Okay. And then you have your attorney receive the funds and then disperse the funds, one check to you and one check to your client. Okay. And that's how you overcome that issue. So even though, the counties in Georgia are hostile towards overage business, I've never had any issues in Georgia. Why? Because I use an attorney. So that's just another reason to make sure that you utilize attorneys, guys. You avoid a lot of problems when you utilize an attorney. Okay. All right. Very cool. Let's see if I missed any questions here. Doesn't look like I did. Nice. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Cool, guys. Well, that's all I've got for you today. Just wanted to provide you that update. So yeah, probably sick of me. This is probably the second video I posted today, so sorry if you see me multiple times today. Sorry, not sorry. It is important information, so especially for anyone that's either currently in it or looking to get into this business. This is very important information. Okay. So, oh, there's another question. Do you use a buyout agreement? No, I don't use a buyout agreement. I'm not against using a buyout agreement. I think it's perfectly fine to do that. I don't prefer it because it increases my risk substantially. Okay. If you are putting out your own money, okay, that's going to be an extra expense to you. And if you are not, you need to be you need to know how to do title search, which I teach you how to do that. A lot of people don't teach you how to do title search, meaning how do you confirm ownership? How do you confirm debt? It is important to do that because if you're doing a buyout agreement and you're putting your own money on the line and you fail to do good due diligence, and let's say, for example, that there was a lien or you signed the wrong person, you just lost that money that you had to put up for your buyout agreement. Okay. So that's why the buyout agreement is not my preferred to method, especially because since it's not where somebody would want to start. Like if you're a beginner, you don't want to start with buyout agreements. It's too risky in my mind because you're just getting started. You're going to make mistakes. That's part of the process. And you want to eliminate your risk as much as possible. And that is one reason why I like the overage business, especially for people who are, newer to kind of the real estate space, is you can screw something up and it's not going to cost you anything. Okay. If you're not doing a buyout agreement, you're not risking your money. If you've got an attorney who's working on contingency, then you're not losing any money to upfront retainers. Okay. And so buyout agreement is fine, but I would leave that to, I only do it if I need to, like if the client really needs the money and if it's going to increase my profitability, which it rarely does. Because this is the thing, like not all people that go through tax sale or foreclosure, not all of them actually need the money up front. Like I've asked people, do you need an upfront retainer? And they'll say, no, I don't need an upfront retainer, because they also know that it's going to cost them, But that is one good thing about a buyout agreement, because you are taking on more risk. You can negotiate a higher percentage split. So I would just say it's more for advanced people who know exactly what they're doing, have some deals under their belt, and know how to do very good research. And if you're willing to risk your own money, by all means, risk your money for higher reward. Can totally do that. What forms do you normally send the attorney to sign, or do you just sign the retainer agreement the lawyer sends? So yeah, if I'm hiring an attorney, then they'll have a retainer agreement with me, and I'll sign that with them. Yeah. As far as like if it's a case, I will I'll submit my agreement between me and the client to my attorney, and then any other documents. Sometimes the attorney may require a retainer to be signed by the client with them as well. Sometimes it's an assignment form. It just depends on the state and what type of case it is, whether it's a mortgage overage or a tax overage, and where is the money being held? Is it being held by the courts? Is it being held by the county treasurer, sheriff's office? That will also determine the type of paperwork we use. But on every case, a fee agreement, okay, outlining what I'm doing, what the percentage split is, all that good stuff. Oh, cool. Panama. Welcome from Panama. Never been to Panama. Playa Dorada. Golden Beach. That's awesome. All right. Cool. That's all the questions. Cool. All right, guys. Well, there's no other questions. Appreciate you taking time out of your Thursday evening, wherever you are. I hope you're having a great night, and hope this was valuable information for you. And appreciate you watching. We'll see you in the next one. If you're brand new to overages, check out my YouTube channel. There's over 400 videos there, so you can get as much free information as you want. If you want to fast track and learn how to do the process A to Z as quickly as possible, check out overagesyndicate.com. And that's it. Appreciate you guys. Have a great night. We'll talk to you later.